Welcome! This is the online version of English 201 Themes in Literature. We're going to be exploring some different types of literature in this class, and I'm excited about working with you. One of the primary ways we'll work together is through your writing. You'll be reading and writing about a list of books and works that I've put together that I find incredibly fascinating. Hopefully I'll be able to convey some of my enthusiasm for the material to you via the web here and via a few of these video casts that I'm going to be publishing. The online class by nature is for the self-starter, for those who are self-motivated and can really kind of work on their own. You have weekly quizzes, you have paper assignments I'll be going over in a few moments, and have other challenges that really kind of stand between you and conquering this class. I hope to be a good guide. I hope to be able to answer your questions as best I can in a very quick way on email, so please shoot them to me when you have questions as they arise. I'm going to be looking over the top here of you as I'm looking at some of my notes. I'm going to be going over the syllabus, and hopefully you have that pulled up in front of you, or at least a copy off to the side, and kind of walk through it with me. So at the top of the syllabus here I have basically some of the details of the class itself, title and so forth, and my email, which will be very important for you to know as we run ahead into this class. Again, themes in literature. So we have the purpose statement, course objectives, plagiarism. These notes I'm going to let you read on your own. Don't plagiarize, not a good idea under any context. And then a disclaimer there. Usually I don't change the syllabus, but I put that there just in case something comes up and I feel like we need to either speed up or slow down. So, course requirements and major assessments. Let's jump there. The first one is the major paper. This is the one that usually brings the most anxiety to my students. Please don't feel anxious on this. Please, as you do feel anxious or if you feel worried about this, shoot me an email. But I want to walk you through this as smoothly as possible. Major details. So we have the argumentative paper. Now, what I love about this paper and what I've kind of designed here with this class is working in conjunction with the Purdue University's writing guide. Purdue University has put together an awesome writing guide. It's called the Owl at Purdue Writing Center. Basically, and instead of having you buy the MLA guide or the APA guide that seems to change every couple of years, which is very annoying and very expensive, Purdue has put together this site that walks you through even more than the writing guide, more than what the MLA publishes in their annual book. And so I encourage you to get to know this site for any of your classes. It's very helpful. But for this class in particular. And so what this site will do is it'll walk you through the details of what an argumentative paper looks like, how to create a thesis, how to format this thing in proper MLA formatting. On the site there's actually a sample paper you can read and look at, and that'll help you kind of work toward accomplishing this paper with great excellence. Alright, the next writing assignment. We have 6 thesis pages. Now a thesis page, again, you'll want to look at the Purdue guide for what a proper thesis is, but in a nutshell, a thesis is an argumentative statement. It's a statement that poses an argument. What's not a thesis? Huckleberry Finn is a really great book. Not a thesis. Huckleberry Finn is a story about a young boy who comes of age as he travels down a river. That's argumentative. I could say, no, it's not. Actually, I think Huck Finn is about a crazy little boy whose moral character deteriorates as he goes down the river. And we could have a great fight, a great debate about this. A thesis is a debate, a statement of debate. If you can't debate it, it's not a thesis. I like ice cream. You can't debate that. You can't say, no you don't. Are you with me? So if you have questions about this, shoot me a question. The Purdue site does go into great detail about this, but I'm always happy to answer questions as well. So the thesis pages, as it says on the syllabus, develop a thesis statement and support it for 1 page. Create a thesis statement. Write about it for a page. Finish. At the end of the page, stop writing. You don't even have to put a period at the end of that statement. I do this for my students because I want to get them writing. I want to get you writing, not thinking about making it real polished, not thinking about making it real organized. This is a thesis statement. Defend it for a page, then stop. And what's nice is what inevitably happens is students will write these each week, and by the time it comes to paper writing time, they've got a bunch of theses already published and written up. And you can take one of these thesis pages and develop it into a major paper if you want. You won't have to, but you can. Third paper assignment, the Foster Summaries. Now, I referred to the text, How to Read Literature Like a Professor. This is Thomas Foster. Kind of a funny title, but he actually covers some really, really good stuff and makes it basic. Makes it real user-friendly, I think, in a lot of ways. Talks about what's a symbol, what's a Christ image, and what's a setting, and so forth. How to find a conflict, and what the conflict is in the paper. What are important things to look for in a text. I think this will be a great guide for you. And so when I talk about the Foster text, I'm referring to How to Read Literature Like a Professor. Now, each week, with each text that you're going to read, I have assigned a chapter from the Foster text. I don't have you reading the Foster text in order. It's more of a source. I've chosen chapters from Foster that I think kind of go with the reading for that week. So this is what I want you to do. I want you to read the Foster chapter and write a summary. I wrote it here. Major details, key points, and terms. Write a summary. What's Foster saying that's catching your eye? What is important that he says in that chapter? And write that up. Submit it to me. All these papers, from your thesis page from your weekly thesis pages to your major paper to even your Foster summary, you'll submit to Safe Assign, and there'll be a Safe Assign link on Blackboard for you to put these into. Next thing on the list there is the 8 reading quizzes. These will be 10 questions, as it says there, 10 questions, and just test your basic reading comprehension. Kind of holds you accountable is the goal there. If you read, you should do well on those quizzes. That's the design. Here's the grading breakdown. So 100 points for the major paper, 60 points for the thesis pages. Each thesis page is 10 points each. The Foster summaries are 5 points each, 40 points total. Pretty good, easy math there. And 8 reading quizzes, 10 points each, for a total of 200. That's not true, no. Actually, it's 280. I'm going to have to change that. So 280 points possible, and your grade is based on how many points you get out of 280. There's also a grading breakdown there of 93 to 100 is an A, 90 to 92 is an A minus, and so forth. Next on the list there is your texts and sources. So, William Shakespeare's The Tempest. This is an awesome book. This might be my favorite play of Shakespeare's. I've been studying Shakespeare for many years. This is my PhD dissertation was actually on Shakespeare. But The Tempest is a story about a guy named Prospero. Prospero gets far too interested in black magic, or magic of sorts. He gets obsessed, if you will, and he hides out in the basement of his, I was going to say condo. Condos don't have basements. He hides out in the basement of his house, just working black magic and trying to figure out how to become smarter. He's an idiot. And by forgetting to look out for his kingdom, look out for the responsibilities he has in government, by forgetting to do that, he loses everything. And the story is about what happens to Prospero, how he loses everything, what happens when he's set adrift aboard the empty carcass of a butt, is what Shakespeare calls the ship, with no sail. He's just set adrift. The story is about what happens to Prospero and his daughter, his baby daughter, Miranda, as they are set adrift on this boat. It's a cool play. They land on an island eventually, but I don't want to give any more away. It's pretty cool. Hopefully you enjoy it. Second text is Christopher Marlowe's Dr. Faustus. Now, this book is kind of related, this play, is related to William Shakespeare's text in some ways because Christopher Marlowe writes about a guy named Dr. Faustus. Dr. Faustus wants more than anything else all the knowledge in the world. He's so passionate about obtaining knowledge that he makes a deal with the devil. He sells his soul to the devil. And so this text, what happens when you sell your soul to the devil? Christopher Marlowe kind of walks through what he thinks this would look like. I don't suggest it, and I don't think you're going to want to do it after you read this play. Next one, J.K. Rowling's Harry Potter and the Sorcerer's Stone. Now, this is a cool novel, one that's really taken the country and the world captive, the imagination's captive. J.K. Rowling, in my contention, builds on the work of Shakespeare and Marlowe. And that's what I want you to look for as you read this. Where do you see the influence of Shakespeare and Marlowe in J.K. Rowling's story, very famous novel about this young man, Harry Potter? Next text is Edgar Rice Burroughs' Tarzan of the Apes. Tarzan of the Apes is a very cool story about a man who is shipwrecked as a child and raised by apes. What's going to happen? He's raised by apes, and he comes to the realization at some point early in the text, early in his life, that I don't have hair like an ape. I don't have big teeth like an ape. I'm worthless. And he discovers what it is to be a man. What are the values of a man? What are the values of humankind? He discovers the difference between himself and an ape. Edgar Rice Burroughs, what we call a pulp fiction text, goes after the nature of humanity, the nature of life, and asks some great questions about what it is to be human. The next listed on the syllabus is Nathaniel Hawthorne's Tales. Now, let me skip down here so I can look at the exact ones that I assigned you. The text you've bought for this class is great. Hopefully you've got the Norton edition. The Norton edition has all the greatest stories by Nathaniel Hawthorne, all the greatest short stories. You may know Nathaniel Hawthorne for The Scarlet Letter, another great text that he wrote. It's called The House of the Seven Gables. Both awesome. But Nathaniel Hawthorne, in this class, we're going to be reading My Kinsman Major Molyneux. It's about a little boy who travels from a small agrarian town into the big city. Now, ironically, it's not a big city. It's early colonial America, and what he faces as he looks for a kinsman, a family member, in early colonial America. Pretty cool story about this little boy. He doesn't see what he thinks he's going to see. Next one, Young Goodman Brown talks about evil. What does it mean to make a deal with the devil? Another kind of connection with those texts above. Perhaps some Marlowe influence here. The next one, The Minister's Black Veil. Pastor Hooper is his name. He decides to wear a black veil to church one morning, and it freaks everybody out. It's pretty cool, actually. Pretty funny. And then kind of has a dark twist. I think you'll dig it. The Celestial Railroad. Nathaniel Hawthorne. Now, hopefully you're familiar with John Bunyan's A Pilgrim's Progress. I debated putting that one in this class. Such a good book. If you haven't read Pilgrim's Progress, you got to read it at some point. Not necessary for you to pass this class, obviously, but Hawthorne's The Celestial Railroad basically is a parody of John Bunyan's Pilgrim's Progress. It basically looks back at Pilgrim's Progress and says, you know, there's a faster way to do this. It's about technology. It's about advancements in technology and what this does to human society. Have we lost something as we've sped things up? The Birthmark. Oh, the scientist Alamer wants to take this little speck off his beautiful wife's cheek. He'll do anything. He'll kill her if he has to get this speck off. What's going to happen? That's a great work as well. And then Ethan Brand. Man, now that I look at that again, I'm thinking there's another good connection with making a deal with the devil. Ethan Brand wants to figure out what the unforgivable sin is. Does he find out? What does this journey look like? Perhaps it's more than he can handle. That gets us to the end of our semester there of reading. Hopefully I've gotten you pumped up and excited about jumping in. Please email me with any questions you have. As you'll see on the rest of the syllabus here, we have the Mission of Concordia. Important for you to look that stuff over. Really, as a final note here, I just want to let you know, our university is a Christian university. I'm a Christian. I believe that God is a loving God, and because of our problem of sin in this life, He sent His Son to die for us. And really what I'm teaching in this class and everything that I teach really comes from this worldview, this Christian worldview. If you have questions about that, please email me as well. There's some great books out there that I can kind of advise you towards about what the Christian worldview is and why it's a viable view and why it's worth considering. And so God bless you as you take on this new adventure, this adventure in literature, in this Themes in Literature class. Good luck and have fun.